I have always felt pretty fortunate growing up in the family I did. I grew up in a Christian house, mom, dad, my sister. Spent a lot of time with my dad, taught me how to hunt, fish. He did yard work, took trees down. I was always with him. And truthfully, I couldn't have asked for a happier childhood. In the mail, after about 6 months after graduating, I got a letter saying that Shopko Stores had a job opening for a draftsperson. So I thought, well, I'll apply for it and see what happens. So I applied for it and went up against my classmates that were, many of them were better draftsmen than I was, but I got the job. And I spent the next 10 years working at Shopko. In those 10 years, got married, had 3 wonderful daughters. And as time went on, Shopko changed, and I wasn't enjoying it much anymore. I did a lot of traveling. Didn't want to do that with raising 3 daughters. I started looking for other places of work. And no matter where I applied, nothing was happening. And I prayed about it. I'm like, God, what do you want me to do? And I got the idea of, maybe I should go into business for myself. So I started looking for businesses. That wasn't leading anywhere. One Sunday afternoon, I was looking through a magazine that sold houses. And I ran across an ad for selling a pallet business. I'm like, I can do that. What does it take to build a pallet? So a few months later, I owned a pallet business. I was its one and only employee. My dad worked full time. The business I bought was only a couple miles from his house, so he'd get done with work and come over and help me. Didn't ask for pay, just wanted to help his son out. I had an uncle that if equipment broke down, he'd come and help me. I felt so blessed, because I was. I wasn't any good at sales calls, but I found out I didn't need to be. People were calling me looking for pallets. My first year, I doubled the sales of the business I took over. The year after that, I doubled my sales, and I didn't make calls to sell the pallets. God was sending it to me. 2012, 2013, I had the worst years of my life. I was going through a divorce, I had a fire, and also had bought a sawmill business a couple years earlier, and I had to shut that down. My banker called it the perfect storm. My sales for the next 3 years were in the red. I wasn't sure I was going to make it a 4th year. I couldn't have. I got a phone call one day from a friend of mine that also owned a pallet business. His partner in business overextended himself. The bank was requiring them to sell out their business. He's like, Scott, would you like to take over my accounts? That's the day my business started making money again. Then in 2015, my dad ended up getting Alzheimer's. Some days were really good days, and then some days were bad. Toward the end of September, we ended up checking him into a nursing home because it was just too much to take care of. 6 weeks after he checked in, he passed away. When the business was going bad and just starting to improve, I met Louise. And she's a big help to me, more than she knows. Because of the state that I was in, the depression, it was nice to have somebody you could go and talk to and just be with. Then came COVID. Through the time that I was there, it seemed like every week somebody was in contact with somebody with COVID. God was watching over us because everything moved along. Nobody got seriously sick. My daughters all live in Michigan. Stephanie, my oldest, got pregnant. Second time getting pregnant. The first time ended up in a miscarriage. She went in to see the doctor. The doctor said that she wanted to send her to the hospital because the heart rate just wasn't right and the baby wasn't moving quite right. And later that night, they ended up doing an emergency C-section and delivering the baby. That was healthy. 7 pounds, 7 ounces. They're all doing very well. And in the midst of all that, I had asked Louise to marry me. And she said yes. And on January 16th, we got married. 1 week after I had sold my business, and a week before, Pastor Brian asked me if I wanted to come work at the church. And so that's where I'm at now.